Hello! About a week ago I showed you some games in the Chikuma, which I said repeatedly was the best Tier 2 cruiser in the game. So, right now I'm bringing you some games in the Chester, which, by process of elimination, it's the worst Tier 2 cruiser in the game. The thing about the Chester is that there's just nothing that's better about it than... well, that's not true. Basically, anything that the Chikuma can do, the Chester can't quite manage to do as well. I think I said in the Chikuma video a fair bit that the Chester has advantage in DPM. When I actually did the maths, it turns out no, the Chikuma actually gets a slight advantage in DPM. The rate of fire of the Chester doesn't quite kind of beat out the extra gun and higher damage of the Chikuma, at least when firing armor piercing, and that was a very quick kill from me. I must suck for that destroyer. But compared to the Chikuma, the Chester gets faster firing guns, and well, also better firing arcs on its guns. It can turn very acutely to the enemy. But that's not actually that important because it's got no armour, so it doesn't really help it out that much. So anyway, in this game, I've been kind of... well, you saw me destroy that destroyer early on, and now I'm just kind of hanging out at the back here, sniping away at enemy ships. I've seen a Hashidate, which was the easy one to take out, so I've been firing away at it. I did take a few shots at that Chikuma earlier. And I just managed to get a Citadel penetration on that Hashidate with my high explosive shells. I should also say that probably the advantage of the Chester compared to the Chikuma is that the Chester gets a lot more powerful armor piercing shells. But unfortunately, protected cruisers are actually really hard to get through their armoured deck to hit their Citadel. So I find myself just using high explosive in this the same way I would it in the Chikuma. Although I did have a few good games where I basically forced myself to use armour piercing and got a lot of Citadels. But usually I'll just miss horribly, or miss the Citadels. As I come past, I'll put a few shots in the Chikuma. I was going to take some shots at that enemy cruiser, but it died far too quickly, so I switched back to the Chikuma even though it's on pretty high health and it's at long range. And then I see that Hashidate from earlier. It's on very low health, and it's much easier for me to hit at this range. Or, well, theoretically it's easier for me to hit, but my shells seem to miss. But I reload quickly and then fire again. Torpedoes ahead of me. That's okay, we'll just keep focusing down this Hashidate. I can see from the heads-up display the torpedoes are coming close, but it looks like they're going to pass away on my starboard side. Yep, there they go. There it goes. The Hashidate survives and there's an island protecting it now, so switch fire to this area. And at this kind of range, near enough to all my shells are going to hit. You see my secondary batteries are also opening up. But... oh, I actually managed to set it on fire. That's pretty impressive. Well, not really, but the Chester's got a very low fire chance per hit compared to the Chikuma, and even though it puts out kind of a lot of shells compared to the Chikuma, it doesn't even come close to matching the Chikuma's fire potential. Oh, friendly Hashidate. Just a bit of a step on the brakes there and managed to go around behind it. And I missed that Hashidate again, but almost reloaded. And there's one kill, well, actually that's the second kill. I killed that destroyer early on. And there's kill number 3, and a double strike. And I'm about to hit my friendly Hashidate friend there, and it bounced off really heavily. So anyway, my team's winning this pretty well. Well, at least in ships we are. The enemy have controlled the capture points for basically the whole game. But we can live with that, when we can actually manage to kill these guys. And we're going to duel Chester here. They're both on critically low health, but I've got my allied cruisers behind me, providing me some backup fire. You see, I'm actually aiming fairly high up in the Chester there, and that's because I like to aim high to try and take out the guns, since the guns on the Chester, and also the Chikuma, are fairly unprotected. So it's actually really easy to destroy their main armament and help reduce their firepower, which will hopefully give you a bit of an edge in DPM. But this last enemy ship, it's a stock Chester, and I know because it's got the cool paint job, which means it's only going to have 3 guns on the broadside to my 4, so I've already got a pretty huge advantage over it. And again, I'm aiming high to try and help myself out a bit and knock one of those guns out. But it's not really going great for me here. This isn't, I'm probably going to die here, but this is the last enemy ship, so it's not that big a deal. Just trying to game low here because I'm going to need a sneaky citadel if I'm going to want to survive. But it turns out my team actually managed to save me, or save the day there. I survived, we won, with a double strike and a devastating strike. 4 kills, 1100 experience, and that's a lot considering this was a pretty small game. Did, well, 19,000 damage with my high explosive, and apparently quite a few thousand with armor piercing there. I can't actually remember firing armor piercing, but I did, and it worked out for me, so that was good. This game is a much longer one. It's a tier 3 game, and I really like playing tier 3 games when I'm in my tier 2 cruisers, just because having battleships around makes the gameplay just a lot more interesting, I'm going to say, especially in a cruiser, because, well, battleships are there to kill you, so it actually gives you a bit of a challenge. You know, torpedoes are easy enough to dodge if you know they're coming. Whereas battleship shells, oh, they're also fairly easy to dodge if you have the time. But it's just an extra challenge for you in your cruiser. So I'm kind of heading up this side of the map. It's kind of where the destroyers usually go, and it's an alright place for a Chester since I'm pretty good at killing destroyers. But the main reason I was going here was because there was a battleship, actually 2 battleships coming up behind me, and I just wanted to do my best to kill the destroyers in here before they arrive. First enemy ship we see, however, is a Tenru, so I've just loaded armor piercing, got a few high explosive shells in. But of course now they've got armor piercing loaded, I don't have a shot at the Tenru, and instead the only ship I can shoot at is a couple of destroyers here. Actually no, there are other destroyers out of range. There was one destroyer which is now hidden in the smoke. So, Tenru it is. Got 1 citadel hit there, does 3,000 damage. Second broadside. Nope, managed to straddle the target, but didn't get any hits. I think I'll miss those torpedoes. Again, another miss. Oh, another citadel hit there. 3,300 damage from 2 hits. Managed to pass in between the torpedoes. And again, I'll put some more shots into the Tenru here. Well, there's a works. We can take a few armor piercing shells. The Chikuma, it's out of range. And I'm about to run aground. So I'm slowing down, putting my ship into reverse. Because I obviously just want to get out of this situation as quickly as I can. Chikuma's firing at me, and I managed to... No, I get hit once. And I managed to take out my engine, but I'm able to repair that. Fire off some more armor piercing at that works, and start loading high explosive. And now... Well, our battleships, as you can see there, is moving in front of me and going to go up and duke it out with the enemy ships. But the enemy cruisers and battleships are also heading into this part of the world, so it's not really... Like, it's kind of an alright place for me, but it's not really a destroyer battleground, like it usually is. It's also just not really a safe place for that battleship in front of me, since there are still enemy destroyers, like a lot of them, around these parts. Anyway, I'm trying to put armor piercing into Chikuma. As I said, sometimes I manage to do pretty alright. Basically, the spot I found I want to aim for is on the waterline just behind the smokestacks, but I just can't quite manage to hit it at the moment. And those ones came close, but they went too high. Torpedoes behind me, but they're going to miss. Looks like I'm about to run around again. Okay, South Carolina. I've got armor piercing loaded, which is bad, but I switched to high explosive. And it looks like my armor piercing shell there managed to, well, bounce. But high explosive hardly ever bounces. And I did 600 or so damage there from 4 hits, which isn't exactly fantastic, but you can't expect too much when you're shooting at a battleship. I fire over the corpse of our friendly battleship, or I should say the wreck, and I managed to hit that destroyer there. It's gone behind the island, so I switch fire to the Chikuma behind me. And, well, I'm kind of isolated now. There is a friendly battleship behind me and a friendly destroyer in front of me, but I'm just kind of getting lucky that the enemy ships aren't really shooting at me. Put a broadside into the battleship, but then realise the destroyers should be my main target. And, well, my broadside there just manages to miss it. But I'm going to get a second shot here. It does a fair bit of damage with 3 hits. But can't really shoot at the destroyer now. Oh, maybe I could have. No, I couldn't have then. So the island's blocking my shots on most of the enemies, except for this Chikuma who's come around behind me and seems to be chasing me. So I put a few shots in, and the Samson tried to ambush me with its torpedoes, but I am able to slow down and turn into them so they miss. Shoot behind me, finish off the Chikuma. I'm taking fire from something to the front. And now the only enemy ship left in this, well, part of the map is the South Carolina, which still has half its health, but there are 4 of myself and 3 allies here to finish it off. Unfortunately, the enemy team have won basically everywhere else on the map. So once we kill this battleship, it's just going to be us survivors here versus the whole enemy team. And I've managed to come within second range of the South Carolina, which isn't good, but because of the islands I couldn't actually turn around to go out of it. So I was kind of happy that it got killed very quickly there. Okay, the enemy team's starting to advance on us. There's I believe it's a Wix class destroyer coming to sneak up behind me. But, well, my allied destroyers spot it and fire torpedoes to meet it, and I know it's coming, so I'm getting ready. Here it is. Yep, it's a Wix. Fire a broadside, and I get the kill, but not before it finishes off the friendly destroyer in front of me. And now the enemy have started capturing our base, so I am moving back to try and defend it. And while we go, we'll get into a bit of a long-range gunnery drill with this Chikuma. Managed to knock out its engines, which would have forced it to use a repair. That island there ate up all my broadside there. Well, obviously all my broadside minus 1 shell because I can fire that one off. Get a hit, 300 damage. I mean, it's all going to add up eventually, but it's not really the big hits that we're going to need to be able to turn this game around. The enemy appear to be pushing pretty hard into our captures point, but for right now I can't shoot at them because this island's in the way, which is a bit unfortunate, but we'll get our chance in a second. It's a destroyer there at long range. It's actually just within my firing range, but I don't take the shot, instead save my broadside for the nearer destroyer. But it takes too long coming, so I send it off at the destroyer that was far away, and I don't get any hits. But you kind of don't really expect to when you're shooting at destroyers that are moving that fast at that range. The nearer destroyers popped smoke, but, well, it was moving so fast I can able to see it when it pops out the other side. So I put a big hit in there, managed to wreck its engines, and I kind of guess where it's going to be and fire a broadside blind, which actually goes just ahead of it. Probably just overestimated because its engine was wrecked, so it's probably going slower than I thought. I see it again, second broadside leaves it on a small bit of health, or it was my third broadside, and the fourth one here finishes it off after it runs aground. Okay, we've actually managed to bring the odds back a fair bit. after I dodged these torpedoes. There are now 3 friendly ships against 4 enemy ships, but these 2 Chikumas in front of me actually have a lot of hit points, and they are a big threat to us at the moment. The good thing we've got going for us here, or at least I've got going for me, is that while this Chikuma's firing at me, there's a friendly battleship behind it, which should be able to do a lot of damage and help me out while I'm distracting this Chikuma. Unfortunately, it just kind of doesn't quite happen that way. I managed to set the Chikuma on fire as we get a nice view of the American flag there. And well, the Chikuma's still got a lot of hit points. I think I've actually done more damage to it than it's done to me. And because it's turned its bow onto me here, it actually can't bring most of its guns to bear. Whereas, because of my good firing arcs, I can actually continue to just wiggle around a bit and bring most of my broadside to bear. Our secondary guns have opened up on each other, but we are both on critically low health here. And I managed to get the kill there thanks to that fire I started on the bow. I'm getting shot at by something in the smoke here, so I want to get behind the cover of this island as quickly as I can. I'm on 70 hit points, and well, that broadside finished me off. But we actually kind of pulled it back. Well, it's a friendly battleship and a friendly cruiser versus a enemy battleship and an enemy cruiser. And we just saw that cruiser that killed me was on very, very low health. Unfortunately, our cruiser just died, and this battleship here just seems to have lost hope in our eventual victory. I'm not really gonna... No, I'm not gonna show you the end. This game, I think we could have won it, but I think this guy just didn't really see it was possible, so it didn't happen. But anyway, that was still a pretty good game for me. 960 experience and 109,000 credits on a loss is pretty impressive. Sunk 4 ships, 89 hits on enemy ships. So it's not really surprising that I got the top in experience on my team. And also managed to do, well, 45,000 damage. Which, it's actually pretty impressive. And, yeah. So Chester, I kind of think that part of the reason I don't like it is because I kept getting games like this where, in retrospect, I did very well, but it's just that the rest of my team were outplayed. Well, I was kind of outplayed as well, but end of the day the enemy team were better and I just got a bit unlucky in my Chester. But really, I tried really hard to make this ship work well for me, and I just can't really figure out a way to make it, you know, comparable even to the Chikuma, because the Chikuma is a fantastic ship. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.